apologize to everybody in Karen.
Yeah. Hopefully this will be a better one now. This will be better now. This will be better now.
Let me go upstairs so I don't.
Yeah, I've gone live. I've gone live. It's interesting, isn't it? Hi, Chike. I'm really, really sorry. Everyone, I'm sorry. I hope you can hear me this time around.
Yes, I can actually.
Okay. Someone suggested that I move closer to my wife, to my router, which I've done. Hopefully this will work this time around. And bet, Chike, please, whatever you can do, just fix this digitalization. You just need to fix it. You have no choice now. This is frustrating.
It's okay, it happens. Welcome to the new world.
That's yeah. Just go on with that question, please. I think
Sure.
that seems to be the most important question for tonight. Then, so let's just go on.
So, so I was saying that one, it's important to win back the trust of the people.
Yeah. Thank
We
you,
need to
everyone.
be able to yeah, exactly. Thank you to all the viewers who have stuck through. Um, yeah. Yeah, so we need to do that first, and then of course we need to tackle hunger and poverty, because like I talked about during the election, most of what we classify as corruption, at least at the masses level, right, is people trying to put food on the table, right? It's people trying to cater for their families, for themselves, for their well-beings, right? Because our governments have failed at the two most basic responsibility of governance, which is to provide and to protect the people, right? So when your government fails, people start to look for alternatives to make up for um, this lack in leadership.
Okay.
So I believe that if we spend time trying to restore the trust that our people have in leaders in governance, by tackling some of these needs that would help them live better lives, that would raise the quality of life for the everyday Nigerian, you start to get more patriotic Nigerians that way. And then it allows us to do a lot more stuff to build ourselves up. Yeah.
Wow. So trust is really very critical. I'm sure. Yeah, trust is very, very good. So yeah. So does that mean you trust Nigerians? That's the question that I want to. Do you trust Nigerians that much that you?
Um, I think it's important to give people the benefit of doubt
Okay.
first and foremost, right? I am Nigerian, so if I say I don't trust Nigerians, it means I don't trust myself,
Okay.
right? So it's and then it also means that um, by saying no, right, you are indirectly judging yourself as well, because that is an identity that you share, right? So if you say, well, Nigerians are corrupt, that also makes you corrupt. So if you believe that you're a good person, it means that, yes, there may be a fraction of people who are corrupt, but that should not paint the entire nation.
Okay. I like that. Thank you very much. So now I'm sure that loads of youths out there that would have been very inspired with the fact that you came out. Right. So, but obviously, just inspiration alone doesn't take one to fulfilling purpose or doing things that others would have thought, okay, yeah, this is not possible. So, what other things do you think would be required for one to be able to move to achieving something really great in life, even though they see themselves, oh, yeah, I'm a youth, but what other thing? Because you've done something that not an ordinary youth in Nigeria would have taken seriously or say they want to do. So, what are other things apart from just courage?
Okay, so are you talking about um, um, uh, an endeavor like running for office, or do you just mean in general?
I think in general, but you can use the example of running for office because at the moment, that's something that you've done that not a lot of people would have done. But I think it's probably applicable in other areas. But yeah, just personalize the response and then so that at least we can pick one or two lessons from there.
Right. So like I always say, you have one life to live, right? And if the intention is to have impact, then at some point your passion and the need for that impact has to be greater than the fears and the doubts that you have, right? That's the only way. That's the only way you can chart uncharted territories, right? So it was that. It was that for me. There was a tiny little glimmer of hope that we could leverage, jump on it. And there were several people said several things. Oh, you know, why are you going to waste your money? Oh, they're going to kill you. There was so many things that so many people said. But at the end of the day, it's always remembering what it is you believe in, why you're doing what you're doing, and holding steadfast to that and to people who become a support system for you. So yeah, it's important to, I would say, define your vision, right? It's important to define the why. Because at the end of the day, okay, first, define the why, then make sure you have an accountability system for you, a support system. Because there will be times when every other person around you who's on the outside looking in will call you crazy. And that's the truth. But then you have these. Can you still hear me? I said, there will be time when people who are on the outside looking in will call you crazy, will give you all sorts of names. And in those moments, it's important to have a support system. The people who pray with you, the people who cry with you, the people who encourage you, the people who help you understand the reason why you are where you are and why you're doing what you're doing, right? I would say 20% comes from here, the heart. 80% comes from the people that you surround yourself with, right? So for me, it got to the point where even if I was the only person who voted for myself on election day, there was nothing that was going to stop me from finishing the process, because I had a praying family, I had a supportive family that, you know.
Wow. Don't say that.
You're frozen.
Good. You hear me? I was thinking this is better. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're still frozen.
Oh, okay. I think this is interesting today. Okay. Someone is asking, how would you handle godfatherism and still provide the people with the basic needs and still provide the basic need to the people? Godfatherism.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Okay. So that's actually a great question. So I tell people this. I said, you know, if I had spent 20 years preparing for this process, preparing to go run for office in Nigeria, right, I would not have learned what I learned in 8 months.
Wow.
And that's the truth. Yes, because I told someone it was like acquiring a PhD in Nigerian politics without an advisor, without a teacher, like nothing, right? So after the process, when we came back and started to review, you know, what the lessons were, there were 4 things I said you must own in order to conquer the Nigerian political system. It's bad enough that there's no political playbook besides weaponizing poverty and hunger. But in order for us to topple that horrible system, 4 things. One is media, right? You must be able to own both local and international media, right? The second one, political structure. Right now, what political structure is in Nigeria is you being able to buy people out, right? I give you 5,000 to vote for me, or I buy you bags of rice, blah, 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 once every 4 years. So I had people who said, dude, in an ideal world, you should be the president. But the truth is, even the votes we think we want to cast for you we know they will be wasted, right? And not only would they be wasted, the little stuff we get from these criminals, right? This once in 4 years, we also miss out on that. How do you argue with it, right? So it's important to build a political structure, and I can go into that in more detail on how to build an effective political structure that I believe will work in Nigeria. The third one is a security system, right? You have to have at least one of our major security apparatus behind you, either the military, the police, the DSS, whatever. And then the fourth one is INEC. You have to have insiders and INEC, right? People that you are sure would protect, your votes or the integrity of all of the people who voted for you. Now, when we broke this down, I said the first two is your responsibility. The media part and the political structure is your responsibility. But the other two actually require the support of, former leaders. So what you would call your godfather, right? You need them because those are the people who have access to those military or security systems as well as INEC, right? So there is a place, whether you like it or not, there is a place in our politics for godfatherism. I did my entire process without it. I refused to meet with anyone, not even pastors, no politicians. A couple of them had sent for me down because I wanted to go through the entire process. I don't know if you can still. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me? Awesome. Okay.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear
Fatherism. Okay. Fatherism means, you become corrupt as well. No. Here's the difference. When you are coming, part of that preparation includes making sure that you're bringing stuff to the table that makes them understand that you can do without them, right? So it's selling a vision to them to help them understand the importance of their role, right? So it's not, if you're asking someone, hey, can you help me handle this military part or the security part, it's not because they are hoping that when you become president, to negotiate with them. It's saying, you've ruled this nation. I am coming to you because you have experience. You have access to these channels that I may not have access to. How can I leverage that in building out this vision that we have for the country, right? And I believe that there are a couple of them that will, come on board if they believe that you have the chance, that you're serious about it.
Okay, Chike, I think you've made a very valid point in there. So my question is this, because I'm sure there are so many people that are online listening to you now, and they're thinking, okay, this guy is making sense, but how do we go about this? Because like you said, fatherism, all of that is still there and all of that. So what exactly would be your strategy, or what would you say could be like a viable strategy that we can probably make use of as youths, and also
without
as people that are
divulging all of the
serious-minded
strategies,
the fact that they just
I'll try to be as high level as
things
possible,
around just
right?
to be
So,
better.
and actually, even before I delve into that, let me create a scenario, right? So here's the thing:
Yeah,
in Africa
please.
today, or at least in Nigeria, only 3% of our population is over 65, right? Only 3%. right? Now, the majority of us are over 70, which
Wow.
means that within the next decade or two, many of these people would die off. Nature always takes its course, period, right? The question for our generation now is, what are we doing to prepare young people who are qualified to step into these positions? Else, we lose it to the cronies who are right behind the people who are there now, right? That's extremely important. Now, to answer in terms of strategy, when I start to talk to people who are going to run for office in
Yeah.
2023, the most important part, if you ask me, would be your ability to build out that political structure. And like I said, without, divulging a whole bunch of the information, here is, a summary of what that must look
Okay.
like. It must be built upon your hunger. So it's not giving people bags of rice, because you would never be able to beat your government at doing that. It's not giving people 5,000 be able to beat your government.
Hmm.
Feel that gap that the government is supposed to play, that they are not playing, which is your ability to provide employment, scalable employment that puts food on people's tables and leaves them with extra to take care of other needs. Now, if you can do that, that becomes the core base of your political structure, because they are now the ones who are not dependent on the 5,000 and the bags of rice or yam that they get from politicians, and will be happy
Okay.
to risk it at the polling booth to make sure they cast their vote for you. And like I said, I'm gonna do my best not to go into full detail to divulge everything until I start to come across people who are serious
Okay.
and have the capacity to do it.
That, that, so that does make sense, because I think
Volume is gone. There's no volume. No. Thank you, Bola Zion. I can't hear you at all. Just type the question. Can you hear me? Hold on. I'm gonna go out and come back in, because I can't. Can you hear me? Yeah, I agree with Bola. I can't hear you at all, Tayo. Temi, sorry. Oh, yes, Temi Tayo. There's no volume. Okay.